gentleman here, William Huskerson, was one of the first leading innovators in railroad technology back in the day. In 1830, was a leading proponent for it and came out to see the first launch or the first ride of this thing called the rocket. Unfortunately, he didn't have any context for understanding even what it meant and stepped in front of it and thought he had plenty of time to get out of the way. He is now the first guy killed by a train. And so that's their unintended consequences around innovation. The Wright brothers, when they launched their first flight, they didn't even begin to think about what that meant from the standpoint of moving beyond into different industries or even into unmanned space or into manned space and what that would entail. The economies, the thoughts that people needed to have, the change in education and the advancement. As we began to look at ways to begin to communicate. We took aircraft using the old-fashioned pigeons, began to transmit data in new and different ways. And not too long ago, that led to the advancements of the first web page, where we began to share concepts and ideas over very large distances to each other, and sometimes sharing important information, sometimes not so important information. But the mindset of these early innovators didn't understand the consequences or what have you. And certainly as we think about Maryland, and the early has always been a leading innovator. Here we're doing night dredging, which is one of our first economies, and early innovator in protecting our commerce, protecting our country from threats, whether those be commercial or other countries. And so we've moved well beyond that now here in the state of Maryland. Now we're defending our borders and our commercial entities as well as our government entities and our way of life using this new thing called cybersecurity. Which I challenge is not an industry as much as it is an overarching ecosystem which supports so many different things. You'll often hear people talking about it as the Internet of Things or the protection of the Internet. I challenge that it is the data of things. As we've moved beyond these new technologies, these new innovations have created a whole host of things that are out there sharing information, either connected or unconnected, that need to be protected, and we need to begin to stop thinking about ways that we've done our education in the past and move beyond into innovation beyond just the technological aspects, beyond the technologies and the programs that support the cybersecurity ecosystem, but into the next generation of education. That's where the real importance is going to come. Maryland certainly has this DNA of innovation. The major factors, we've got location, we have our educational institutions, we have the culture, we have the attitude. It's historically been here. But as we begin to think about Maryland moving beyond sort of our agricultural age, our industrial age, even into the technical age, and now into the conceptual age, is these new things that are coming so fast, we need to begin to solve their problems. And one way to do that is begin to look at how we're moving beyond just STEM programs to support these industries, these companies, these ecosystems, and using STEAM, which is in the involvement of arts, because we need everyone in here to begin to solve the problems and to begin to put together the pieces of the puzzle that Maryland does have that makes us such an incredible location for developing either the next generation of cybersecurity services programs or UAS or 3D printing or what have you. And one of the key things that we have going for us certainly is a cluster, but our geography and our institutions. Here in the state we have 26 institutions that are currently focused on developing cybersecurity education. We have 50 plus national organizations in place that are putting out brand new jobs. These jobs didn't exist 5 years ago. We've got 36 here and new jobs that are moving beyond every day in solving cybersecurity issues, and that covers everything from the HVAC technologist all the way to the PhD. And leaders of that are some of these companies here. Not inclusive. I couldn't find everybody's logo on the internet, but these companies are leading the way by beginning to define new jobs and new education and new ways of finding employees to build their base. And Maryland has that because we are the epicenter for cybersecurity.